Hey, what's up, guys? You're listening to the Comedy Podcast. This is Rick Sheridan. We have an amazing episode of the Comedy Podcast today. This is part 2 of the interview we started last week with Derek Benfield, I always mispronounce this, a hydrocephalic comedian. We started the interview last week and we went so long, so that's why we're breaking it up into 2 segments, and that's the second segment we're going to play for you right now. But it was so fascinating last week. We sat down, we talked about, hydrocephalus and stand-up comedy and how do the two go together. And a little bit about Derek before I play this interview. Derek has hydrocephalus, but he is a very, very funny guy. And he goes on stage and he just opens up about it. And it's just, it's just an amazing kind of experience. Derek runs a comedy night every Thursday at Water on the Brain. It's called Hydrocephalic But Funny. It features a mostly hydrocephalic lineup of comedians. Don't worry, I've seen it a few times. You do not have to have hydrocephalus to laugh at the humor. It does help if you know what hydrocephalus is. First time I went, I was like, so during the interval, I went on Wikipedia. So if you guys do go on Wikipedia, look up hydrocephalus, and then you can go to the show. And once you know what that is, it is really, really funny. It is a great show. So I'm going to play the second installment of that interview, which was episode 211, the first part. This is episode 212. The second part of that interview with a very funny guy, Derek Benfield, hydrocephalic comedian.
Fringe appearance. And,
Yeah.
So I've done 5 Fringe shows total. And,
Okay.
I love the Fringe. It's exciting. You never know what's gonna. You always think this is gonna be the year that you're gonna really bust out.
Yeah. So what do your shows deal with?
Well, the first 4 shows I've done, not counting this year, have been to do with my hydrocephalus, because as you can see, I have.
Oh right, yeah.
Brains. I do a lot of stuff like hey, you guys might have seen me in the film Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Every Valentine's Day, I make a few extra quid by going around as like a human heart. The longest journey is, people say sometimes the longest journey, the whole Navajo proverb, sometimes the longest journey is between your head and your heart. Well, in my case, there is no journey, they're there in the same place.
Yeah. I've
done 4 shows that have dealt with my hydrocephalus.
Right. So
far, and this year I want to do something that kind of breaks away from that.
Like how?
Well, last year's show, Hydrocephalic was the title of that show, and it was about pushing a stone all the way up a big hill and having it roll back down the other side and having to do it all over again for all eternity, but doing it as somebody with hydrocephalus.
Oh, right.
Hydrocephalic. I was playing at the Laughing Cock.
Yeah.
It was like a midnight show, so nobody really saw it. The year before that, it was the Ides of Hydrocephalus.
Yeah.
Where I played Julius Caesar, but with hydrocephalus.
Oh, okay.
And then my breakout show, what I call my breakout show, that was the first show where there was more than 12 people there, and not all of them had hydrocephalus.
Oh, okay.
That's the first thing when you realize because I'm a hydrocephalus comedian, or that's how I'm labeled.
Yeah.
You do tend to attract a largely hydrocephalic crowd.
Yeah.
I'm not saying if I help people, that's good.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm here to make people laugh.
Right. Absolutely.
But this year, I want to do something different. I want to break away from the whole I just have hydrocephalus theme. Mm-hmm. The last 2 years, people were coming up to me and saying, because they're nice. They're really nice in England.
They are, man.
So this year I do want to do, because I still live in LA.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Anyway, this year I'm going to do something different and break away from the hydrocephalic shows, because like I said, last year I was having people come up and say, I really want to see your hydrocephalus show, but
what?
Jackie's got a show about bulimia. So it just seemed to me as far as disorders, it's unfortunate that I have this, but
it's not the one to have.
So I'm going to do a show this year about my ADHD.
Oh, you have that too?
Yeah. And
Whoa.
That's something when I tell people, because I think people see somebody with hydrocephalus and they assume
that's it. That's your thing.
That's all they've got going.
Yeah.
I don't really talk about it. And I think it's because a lot of people would say, well, aren't you concerned about your hydrocephalus more? No.
Right.
I'm going to talk about my ADHD because that does seem to, I don't want to say it puts bums on seats, but it does actually get punchers out, And
it does. Yeah, it does.
If I can get people to say, wow, that's cool. I have ADHD. D2, then there might be more of them as an audience than people who have hydrocephalus.
Absolutely. Hey, Derek Benfield, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for being our guest on the Comedy Podcast. Please don't shake my hand. You have hydrocephalus. And thank you guys for listening to the Comedy Podcast. I've been Rick Sheridan. If you want to support the Comedy Podcast, please go to patreon.com/Will Franken. Don't ask me what that has to do with me, Rick Sheridan, of the Comedy Podcast, but hey, comedy on, guys.